Hello, traders. It is 8:02 a.m. Chicago time. Terrible voice this morning. Thanks for joining me for another Trader Bite. It is Wednesday, the 31st of October, 2018, the last day of October. Also, Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone who observes it here in the U.S. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, allocation is to risk solid. Yesterday, I posted that we have a high probability. What did I write? Very likely to continue running higher in ES into month close. We will likely see a trend up day tomorrow, barring news. And that's what we're getting. We're getting a real push higher. And historically, this is almost a seasonality. Historically, the last day of October has been one of the most bullish for the year. We also have elections next Tuesday. Very important to stay up on Tuesday night in front of the markets, in front of the screen. There's likely to be a disturbance in the force. And so I'm going to be paying very close attention to multiple news feeds and monitoring the election results. We'll see what happens. But that's how it is. So yesterday we finished up bullish. We had a very wide IB in the ES, and we finally breached to the upside, fulfilling our IB stat in there. I'll talk about that in a minute. I like that pumpkin emoji. I like that. But the leader of the pack today is the NASDAQ. The NQ is up 115 points, pushing near highs now, up 1.65%, followed by the Euro stocks up 1.53%, and the DAX is up 1.2%. The theme today is squarely on the side of buyers. So overall, looking at what we've got overnight, some numbers out of Europe. There really isn't much in terms of news, other than the fact that the European growth and employment data was disappointing coming out this morning. As far as what we're looking for today, really, we already had ADP. The ADP announcement came in strong, 227,000 versus 187,000. Expected. ADP is a private payroll processing company here in the U.S., and they produce their results to help forecast what unemployment might show on Friday. This is Unemployment Friday at 8:30 Eastern on Friday morning. Looking ahead, 15 minutes after the open, we get Chicago PMI. Chicago PMI expecting 60, the prior 60.4. This is for October. And then, of course, we get crude oil inventories. Crude oil is supposed to show a surplus of 3.1 million barrels. Distillates 1.5 draw, and gasoline a 2.25 draw. We do not have any speakers left. We had several ECB speakers, and that's what we've got for today. That's all she wrote. A review segment. The key idea yesterday is we're likely to push higher, find sellers around 26.55, and then start to drift down, potentially testing that low. The secondary is a choppy morning, a wide chop in the morning, as I mentioned. A potential for a push to 26.65, expected resistance at 26.65 on the first test, and then hold sideways into the session. That didn't quite happen. We did get a wide chop. We did push lower. We did push to 26.65, but we ended up pushing through and higher. So not very optimistic on my part there. Here's what actually happened. So we get the push to 26.55 as predicted. We get a pullback. We get a pullback to 46. 47 becomes key for the session. early on as an opening swing high, and then we just basically go sideways. The IB was, like I said, very wide, 39.5 points. That's a 3 sigma IB range historically. And then we sat sideways in it all the way up into into 3 o'clock Eastern, or into about 3 o'clock Eastern. So we waited till the last hour to push through to the upside. We have really good volume on that stock zone at 2683. If you call, 2680 was key several days ago, and this, we filled in the low volume node. This is a consolidation area here that broke to the downside on Monday, and we just rested at it and traded a lot. So you could see that we built a nice high volume node right there that we broke lower, and then we pushed and built a high volume node above it. So we kind of inverted what was going on Monday. We closed near highs. We broke only to one side, and as I had said, expecting this to continue higher through the overnight session. So we just continued to drift higher. The high is 27.1575 currently. I think I'm losing my voice. There we go. Maybe. And we're breaking above Monday's high, so we are taking back quite a bit this morning. Here's how the flow has been. We did have the one-time framing end, the one-time framing down end. So we've been one-time framing down for a while. Excuse my voice. One-time framing down for a while, and we broke it yesterday, Monday. There was a breach to the high, and then we ended up with a bearish engulfing day, and yesterday was an inside day. We're breaking higher. This is meaningful today because we are starting to, we have tested below, and we're breaking higher after resting. So into the election, I expect that we're likely to drift higher into 2750. That's the pattern that we're on. So we're breaching this channel that we had formed, and we're starting to move higher on the overall progress of the markets. Here's how things look. We're slowly pushing towards the MC point of control again, 27.27 and a quarter. If you recall that price, it's been around for a while. Believe it or not, you're still, even despite all the selling, even at the low, you are still in profit for the year if you had sold in May. Somebody put that, I think Odd Stats put that on Twitter, and I checked it. That's true. If you had sold in May and gone away, you would have still missed out on some profits despite the sell-off. Remember, we pulled back to May levels. We didn't really, we sold off at the beginning of the year, but we only pulled back to May levels. So for the year, we're down. But since May, sell May, go away, we're still positive, and we're becoming more so as we push higher. The big target above is 2750, low volume node, mid-century figure. The 2727 is expected to give us some resistance as we push up into it. And here's what we've done overnight. Again, 3 times the historical volume for the session, and just completely pushing higher in a trend type profile, 3 distributions. The point of control still on the low end. Oddly enough, the point of control has not shifted to the high just yet, but the overnight inventory is 99% long in price and in delta. We have pretty good delta to the upside for an overnight session. So quite bullish. For today, what have we got? So if we look at where's our second sigma? Second sigma is 27.59 up and 26.10 down. 27.59 up. All right, so that's a pretty good scale here. Okay, so what are we looking for today? And by the way, I really appreciate all you guys who are hitting the like button on a daily basis. That helps me out. And for in light of Halloween, for those others who are hit, whoever it is, one or two usually, who hit the thumbs down, I have a little gift for you. Here it is. Ooh, scary. Just a little joke there. Bad sense of humor, I guess. So what are we looking for today? Today, we're opening out of range. We're opening above the 2707 that we put in the last couple of days. So buyers are exceeding that last high. The expectation is for an open auction that attempts lower. I'm looking for it to push into 2700. Remember, 2700 is right here. The century figure is right here. Expecting it to chop around in here and then ultimately impulse up and continue higher. Given the most recent ranges, we could easily get our target up here at 2750. So I'm expecting this to continue higher. I'm expecting higher time frames to participate to the buy side today and take us to around 2750. Okay, so that's how things are shaping up if we follow the normal auction pattern without POTUS or anybody else coming on and telling us that China is going to be punished with tariffs or something else like we saw the other day. We could have had this kind of break on Monday, but the news that came out at 1 Central, 2 Eastern really pushed the market lower almost immediately and pretty violently, actually. So assuming there's no news like that, and there's been a lot of tweeting and bashing of Democrats and liberals and all this stuff, there's just a lot of news. There's a lot of news. I have 3 news feeds to keep up with the news. It's just there's just always something that's there that's impacting prices. The secondary scenario is for a market that for an open auction out of range to attempt higher. Sellers see these prices. There's still many sellers probably sitting on the sidelines. Up to 27.27, our MC point of control. Then we get an impulse down that brings us back into line with Monday's point of control. And then we start to drift down into yesterday's range. If we drift into yesterday's range, I expect to see us down all the way to 26.70 before the bounce. Okay. So this morning, again, as it's been for some time, is that is where we need to just keep our hands to ourselves for the first 15 minutes, at least 20 minutes better, and let that first impulse take place. And I'm going to show you in a minute what that looked like yesterday, because I don't want this to be theoretical. I'm not somebody who's a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm a trader. So I don't want theory. I want what can I do? What do I need to look for? And how do I take advantage of it? And I'm going to show you how that looked yesterday with yesterday's plans, right? So yesterday's plan was, as I had said, yesterday's plan was a push higher into 26.55, fail down. So we're looking for an impulse down, and we start to trade from the short side. And so that's what I'm looking for primarily, but I'm open to an impulse higher. And so what happened yesterday, so that I can take advantage of one of these plans? If you look at yesterday, let's go to the very beginning. Wow, it's really a lot of rotations, an incredible amount of rotations. So what happens yesterday? We open, we push down immediately, we push higher into 46, higher low, we push into 47.25, and then we cross the entire range. across the entire range through the open. So now we have an opening swing at 47.25 to 35.75. Okay. And so what does this look like to me when when I don't know what's happening on the hard right edge? We can only trade the unknown, right? We don't trade the known, we trade the unknown. And so what we have is, so I'm looking for, okay, this could go down. This could be scenario one, unable to get to 26.56 and is already selling. So I'm looking at that rotation down right there of 10 points, which definitely is impulsive, to continue. And then it starts to drift up. So here, locked and loaded, my gun is ready, loaded with short bullets, and it just drifts right across the range back to the high. And then as soon as it pushes that opening swing high through, as you see here, then I'm thinking, okay, well, we have a 14-point rotation up, 14 points. I'm off the short side. So now I'm looking for scenario two. I'm looking for a push to 26.65, and I'm looking to trade from the long side. And my target's 26.65 per my plan, right? So how am I getting on the long side? I'm getting on using order flow. I'm getting on with the confluence of 26.47 with the stock zone in that scenario, and I'm looking for an area to get long. There's the 26.65 being breached. No reason to get short. Look for the next area up, and so on and so forth, right? So it goes right to the next area up, and now as it fails to continue that impulse higher, that second impulse higher, I start to be cautious on the short side. The short side, what do I have? I have 26.47 now, and a potential for an IB break. So I'm looking for the IB break because the IB stat's about 98% historically that will break the IB high or low by the end of the session. So here I'm gunning for the IB high. I'm looking for the IB high. I'm looking for the IB high. Just isn't happening. And I'm starting to see that the rotations are expanding downwards. See that? Rotations expanding downwards. Bigger rotations downwards. The bigger rotation upwards have fallen, stopped. So boom, that's my first clue. Watch out. Watch out if you're long. That's my caution long. And then I expect it to breach the mid. Once it breaches the mid, that impulse that I was trading to the long side is done. Okay, now I'm looking for my next plan. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a potential for still scenario one that has has exceeded the top that was expected by 20 points. So do we push lower? 26.47 is key, as I mentioned way earlier, and the market tests it, gets to 46.5, so pushes through by 2 ticks. This is now an opportunity to potentially get short off the mid at 26.55 and look for a breach for 47. There's your 8 points right there. I expect it to break through now to the short side. As it struggles, still keeping an eye on those rotations. Rotations starting to expand to the positive side. Close the trade. It's not going anywhere. I'm a sitting duck. And then it starts, again, rotations continue to expand to the upside, to the downside, to the upside, to the downside, and we have balance. And it continued to do so until I decided to leave and stop trading because it was too choppy. And then later on in the session, it broke through. So it's not, these scenarios are not just theory. My goal is to just have a plan for whichever scenario plays out. Okay, that's my time. Good luck today, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Today is end of month. Be careful going into the close. I would not fade any moves into the close. We have a high probability trend day today. So if you fade and lose, don't continue fading. Good luck.